Hello and welcome back to my channel. The lighting and cameras in here aren't the greatest, but what can you do? So for those of you who don't know, we're picking up a dog tomorrow as part of a foster for a rescue foundation. Now, we don't know a lot about the dog. We don't know which one we're going to get or what they're going to be like or what they're going to have gone through. But they're probably going to need a couple of weeks to calm down, get settled into a house. This is our first time fostering a dog, so this is kind of new to me too. But they're going to need some time to settle in. So last week I did a video kind of showing myself do some yard cleanup. Nothing fancy, it's just me getting ready to be able to have a dog in a safe space. And now this week we're going to install a spot for the dog to go to the bathroom. One of the challenges in our house is our backyard is almost all rocks and a little garden. Our front yard is all wood mulch and rock. So we don't really have a lot of grass, we don't have a lot of greenery that an animal can go and have fun with. So what we decided to do was build a pad. Now the pad is going to do just really one thing, and that's to provide the dog with a place that it can go to the washroom. So what are we going to build? Still cleaning. So what kind of size of space do we need? The backyard is such that this is roughly where our greenhouse is. This is roughly where our house is. And we want the washroom somewhere quick that the dog can get to from the home with minimum resistance in and out. I think this might be important when we get a rescue dog because we don't know how scared they're going to be and how nervous they're going to be, and we'd like it to be as easy as possible for them to get to and from the washroom. So the question becomes, what size space do we need? Well, we went out and measured and we found that the minimum is 3 feet. Anything less than that seemed like too narrow of a space for a dog to be comfortable. And then this way needed to be at least 6 foot. Otherwise, again, it looked too narrow. So let's do some math. We know we're going to buy some sod, and the sod comes in 2 by 4 foot sections. In other words, 8 square foot. If we're always using 8 out of this, we know that we're not going to run out of sod, and at the same time, we're not going to have any left over. The problem is 3 times 6, 12, 18 square foot, but there is no way of getting from 8 to 18 without going over. So this is 8 was 1 roll, 16 is 1 roll, or 2 rolls, which isn't enough, and then 24, we're now over. So if we go down this path, we'll have leftover sod. Fortunately, this is pretty easy to solve. We know we want this to be 3 foot. The easy way to kind of figure this out, what do we have to multiply all of this together to get this within 8 square feet or a number therein? And the short answer is we make it 8 feet long. If we make it 8 feet long, and this is a solid number, then we know we're always going to be within an 8 square foot piece. So if we do 8 foot by 3 foot, which is perfect because our greenhouse is actually 8 feet long, how the sod is going to lay out is this is 3 feet, the sod is 2 feet long, so it's going to come in here, and it's going to run 4 feet in. So that'll be our first piece of sod. This will be our second piece of sod. Now our leftover, or the next piece of sod is going to be twice the width we needed. So if we cut it in half and put the first half down, it'll fit there, and if we put the second half down, it'll fit there, which means 3 rolls of sod will fit in an 8 foot by 3 foot space. With the wood, it comes in 8 foot lengths, which means we need 1 piece of wood here, we need 1 piece of wood here, and these 3 foot sections we can actually cut out of the same wood, which means we need 3 sod and 3 wood that are 8 foot long. So that's it. We only need 6 supplies for this. 3 rolls of sod and 3 8 foot lengths of wood. There's only one other thing to mention. The boards we bought come in 8-foot sections. Now, you have to remember that you can't just cut the measurement exactly to what the sod is, otherwise you'll be a little short and the sod won't fit. And the reason for that is, remember that the wood has width. So if I was to cut it exactly to size, because the wood has width, it's going to take away from the size of the enclosure. It's probably not a big deal to most people, but to me, it's an easy thing to fix. So two of the boards are 8 foot. We can't do anything about that. They're already the length that they are. We can't make them bigger so that they can make up for the size. So what we're going to do is create basically end caps. These are 2 cuts that are their length we need plus the edges. So how do we do that? That's not as hard as you think. Basically, you take the size that you want, which in our case is 3 feet, and then you need to get your wood. And what you're going to need to do is measure this, the width. So when I measure it, it's going to come up to 3/4 of an inch. So if I have an end cap that needs to be 3 feet, and it's going to overlap 2 pieces of wood, it's going to be 3/4 of an inch times 2, which is 1.5. In other words, what I need to cut is 3 feet and 1.5 inches. If I do that, I will get a perfect square enclosure of 3 feet by 8. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece of wood. You'll see me in the backyard installing the whole thing. There's the 3 foot mark, and we're going to go, like I said, 1.5 inches. I'm going to measure this 2 spots. These will work. You want to put something underneath your clamp so that it won't mark up the wood. In this case, for something outdoors, I'm probably not carrying all that much, but it lets me go a bit tighter and damage this, not this. Now we're going to repeat the process with the next piece of wood. And when we're talking about outdoors, it's always best to use some kind of treated lumber. To do the next piece, because it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, I'm going to just measure the old piece on top of the new and mark off where I'm going to cut. And that's really it. Once we're done this, we're going to go out to the yard, put some screws in, and then we're just going to lay down the sod. I want my screws to be at least double the width of this piece of wood. So if I'm dealing with 1.5 inches of wood, then I want to have at least a 3-inch nail or screw. In this case, I've got a 3/4 inch, which means I need at least 1.5 inches to get through this piece and into the next piece and have a bite safely. I'm going to go ahead and use 2 inches. And that's it. See you in the yard. I know you're still scared to come in the house, aren't you? Yes. Is that your new home?
And here he is, the very next day, settled into his new space.